Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and now that my two informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness world. Today I'm going to talk about something a little bit different. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a bit, and as most of you know, I made a response video to Callie Muscle accusing me of being a pedophile, then accusing me of being gay and all this other stuff, and I'll link that video down below for you guys. So that people have a context for that video. Well, what I had said in that video, I said some things, and that gave one of my viewers the courage to come forward. I'm going to flip that in here for you guys. It gave one of my viewers the courage to come forward and tell his mother about what happened to him in his own childhood. And you know what, that moved me. That moved me a lot. That moved me a lot because, you know, I do a lot of what I do here to help people, but on this particular topic, this isn't something that I ever thought that me talking about this at all would ever help another person with. And, you know, that was kind of shocking for me at first, that I was able to help someone else find their own courage to come forward and talk about that. You know, because that's what people need to understand. The ability to talk about this sort of thing is how you end it. And it's how, number two, how you start to heal. It's how you start to heal and get better. And, you know, just mend and become a more complete person if you've suffered stuff like that. Because let's be honest, that is the reason abuse of children is so horrific. People say, oh, it's because they're innocent. It's not just because they're innocent. It's because it has lifelong lasting scars. All right, people who are abused by pedophiles as children are dramatically more likely to end up in prison. They are dramatically more likely to end up as alcoholics. They're dramatically more likely to end up as drug abusers, being drug addicts. All right, you want to talk about a statistic? Look at the correlation between childhood abuse and becoming a drug addict, becoming a junkie. All right, there is an absolutely enormous overlap. All right, it's not just because these things harm innocent people, it's because it can almost destroy people. All right, it can almost destroy people from ever actualizing their potential. That is the real harm in it. That's the real harm. And you know what? That's the thing. Of all things, Callie Muscle making a video calling me that, you know, like all these other people doing stuff of taking abuse survivors and saying that they're pedophiles purely because they're abuse survivors. It is one of the sickest things you see on the internet. It really is. It's sick. It's disgusting that people would do that. And that's done intentionally. That's done intentionally to cause harm. People do this because they know that they might be able to cause harm with it. And the people who would do such a thing really are sick individuals because they're making a joke out of people's childhood abuse. They're making a joke out of it. And you want to see people who are most likely going to be your closet pedophiles? It's the people who make jokes about other people's abuse, even to the point of just saying, oh, that a person must be a pedophile, when they know that that person was abused themselves. That is your sicko who's probably going to be a pedophile. You know the people who are probably pedophiles deep down? The people who go and take and make photos and stuff. I ban them every day. Some of you guys may or may not see them in the comments, but I probably ban 5 or 6 of these every single day. There's a person or 2 people or whoever, many, who come through every day and they make accounts pretending to be the person who abused me as a child, pretending to be that person, using their photos, everything else that they found online, and pretending to be that person and making sick jokes about it. Well, you want to look for a pedophile, there you go. Person who would do that, I promise you, there's almost 100% chance that person is going to hurt a child at some point. That's the person who would do that. There's your textbook pedophile. There's a person the police need to be finding who they are and investigating. Because that person, that's a red flag. And all these people who make jokes about that, who are going to accuse people of being pedophiles with no reason to believe so other than the fact that they came forward about their own childhood abuse. Again, people trying to re-victimize survivors. There's your people. But the thing is that people need to understand The fact that I helped another person with that is very humbling for me. It's very humbling for me. Because I know that that person, that individual just took the first step towards healing, and they might have taken the first step towards, if their abuser is still alive, getting them put in jail. Because let's be honest here, you guys know why this horrific crime continues? Because of silence. Because the people who do this to children shame those children into silence. They shame them into silence. They tell them things like their mom or their dad or a grandparent or whoever won't love them anymore if they talk about it. That's the sort of stuff these people do. They tell them that they did it because they're bad and they deserved it. And if they talk about it, they're bad. All right, that's the sort of tactics these people do. That they're going to be punished, or there's going to be negative consequences if they ever speak out about it. That's the tactic these people use, because they know if these children talk about it, they are in a world of trouble. So they tell them anything. They manipulate these children into silence. They shame them into silence. And it's that silence. It's that silence. That silence creates guilt. And it's that guilt that eats away at people. It's that guilt that eats away at people. And in my case, I'll go ahead and tell you guys the truth of the matter here. I was actually at one point going to take care of my abuser once I was an adult. I was, after all, a precision shooter by then. And yeah, I did almost do it. I did have him in a set of crosshairs, and I had to decide at that moment, was I going to take him out? Was I going to give him the easy way out, or was I going to shame him for it? Was I going to shame him in return publicly? And I chose instead to go talk to my mother about it. And so when this person told me they talked to their mother, that's a big deal, because I went and talked to my mother about it. And she said, well, let's go get counseling and let's get you ready. She asked me, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to press charges. That's what I want to do. I want the world to know what he was. I want the world to know what he was. I want him to be the one who needs to be ashamed. So I took my power back. I had the power to end him. I chose not to. And instead, I chose to come forward about it. Because after I came forward about it, had I gone and done anything to him, I would obviously been the lead suspect. So I made a choice. I had the power to do that. I chose not to do it and give myself a different power. And that was to tell my story and make sure that this person got the public shame that they deserved for what they did. And that's what I did. And in doing that, it helped me on so many levels. And I think that's what I would encourage anyone out there to do. A lot of people are out there who are in the lifting world. They're in the training world. There's a lot of people who work out hard who were abused in this way. And for some people, lifting weights is re-empowering. It's a way for them to regain their power back that was taken from them at a young age. In fact, a lot of guys and girls ask you, why do you use some of these bodybuilding women or powerlifting women? Why do they use all this gear? Why do they get like that? They look grotesque. They look hideous. It's not sexy. Start talking to them. You know what I've found over the years talking to people? That an enormous number of women who get into serious bodybuilding were sexual abuse survivors of some type. Okay? They do that so that they can re-empower themselves, so that they will feel big and strong and know that another person will not be able to physically overpower them again. Okay, that's one of the reasons. They're not doing it because they want to attract a bunch of men. They're not doing it to be attractive. They're doing it for self-empowerment. And that's really, there's a lot of that. It's very common. And so there's a pretty good chance, you know, that a lot of people out there have gone through this, and you're sitting there silent. You're sitting there letting it eat away at you. You're letting that person still control you. Because if you're silent about it, that's what they wanted you to do. They wanted you to feel the guilt and the shame of it, and they wanted you to be quiet. And if you're out there listening and that happened to you, go talk to somebody. Talk to somebody. Find a counselor. I would urge you to go find a counselor right now Get a professional, get professional help, somebody who can help you through that, someone who can help you talk about that. Because as long as you're silent about it, that guilt is going to eat you up. That guilt's going to eat you up for the rest of your life until you talk about it. And you want to know how you stop these people? Because they don't stop. People who do this stuff, they don't ever stop. They have to be stopped by somebody else. And until you tell somebody who they are and what they did, it might have happened to you 10 years ago, 20 years ago. But do you know what? If they're still around, they're probably still doing it. And if you come forward and tell somebody, tell the police, other people about it, you might be able to stop them. And if that can stop it from happening to just one more child, all right, if you can stop them from doing it to just one more child, you end that cycle of abuse. All right, think about how life-changing it would be for anyone out there listening if you could go tell somebody finally about your abuser, that somebody can stop them from doing it again. And you will have changed that next child that they were going to hurt. You will have changed that child's life forever. I don't think there's anything greater good that you could possibly do with your life. There's probably nothing anyone could do with their life more valuable than stopping at least one child from being hurt that way. There's probably nothing better you could do with your life. If you want to change the world and you've been abused, come forward and tell on your abuser. That's how you change the world. That's how we end this. Because this is a crime that continues because of silence and because of shame. And people have the power to undo that. Now, let's go back to the Cali muscle thing. Because Cali, you probably need to see this. You might want to think about it. You just ran over to what, Johnny Bravo's page and said he slandered you, he defamed you, blah, blah, blah. You just publicly, all over your YouTube channel, in front of your audience of hundreds of thousands of people, just called a childhood abuse survivor, in this case me, who came forward about this a couple years ago and admitted this publicly on YouTube. Then all my trolls and stalkers dug into it to find out about it. And they did confirm it was real, that did happen. You just accused a childhood abuse survivor of being a pedophile when I've never been accused of being one ever in my life. Now you want to talk about slander. How do you think that would look? You're talking about you're going to sue Johnny Bravo for telling the truth about you? How do you think that's going to look in front of a jury? If I were to decide to do it, if I were to decide that it would be worth my while to pursue that, how do you think that would look in front of a jury, that a YouTuber with multiple felony records who has a history, there's photos and stuff up there of you doing porn and everything else, that you just accuse someone who is a public advocate against child abuse and pedophilia, and I am on my other channel, who is an abuse survivor themselves, that you just accuse them of being a pedophile. You don't think that qualifies as slander and defamation? To do that in front of hundreds of thousands of your audience, you don't think that's defamation? No, Callie, you probably want to be careful what you start saying about other people, because that's pretty high on the list. That's about, as far as a jury would be concerned, as far as slander goes, particularly where you live in California. Not talking about other states, like where I live, Texas has very, very loose laws as far as free speech. Where you live, they don't. You're in California. That's about 100 times worse of a defamation crime than anything he said about you. You might want to think about that, Callie. You might want to think about issuing an apology. Would probably be a real good idea. Player. Because you just participated in all this sick stuff all these cyber stalkers on the internet did, and you're just going to go accuse a childhood abuse survivor of being a pedophile just because you think it's funny. That says a whole lot about you too, Callie. What do you think that says about you as a person? That you think it's a joke and it's funny to call abuse survivors, to call them pedophiles. I know what you are now. I know what you are.